part 1, I went in detail on the different areas within the ancient ruins, an area full of lost history engulfed by the untamed wilderness, an area so lost that now it's up to the new settlers to learn its secrets of what might have transpired before the residents' sudden disappearance. The best way to do that is exploring another area that is similar but yet very different. Instead of the vegetation being the rulers of the ancient land, it's instead covered by a blanket of hot sun that flows through the horizon. Untamable blazing heat that scars the land with abrupt rage that it is a miracle that life still flourish. In part 2 of this video, I am going to break down and discover the mystery of this forgotten land. Let's jump to the nearest teleporter and learn the secrets that is the Glass Desert. Let's get raging. The only way to get to the Glass Desert is through teleportation. At the very far north of the ancient ruins, there's a teleporter that can be accessed by placing a specific floor to its respective statue. Upon activation, instantly transport you to an area not like any other. What surrounds you are more ruins similar to the ones in the ancient ruins. The difference is that the place is run down and slowly crumbling from the elements. Going outside to be whisked away at the sight before you, desert dunes cover the brick floor with odd crystal-like towers piercing through the sand, forgotten statues sinking into the desert hills, forever hiding its historical secrets. The only company you have are the slimes that somehow are able to thrive in such a harsh climate. The dervish, tangled, mosaic, and other breeds of slime that inhabit these desert biomes they call their home, hold a mystery that I hope to undig. First things first are the crystal-like towers. These odd structures are definitely made out of crystal shards due to how similar they are in appearance. In fact, the crystal shard can only be extracted in the Glass Desert. Additionally, these crystal materials look very identical to the doors in the ancient ruins. Was the teleporter made specifically to import these crystal shards? The important question is, how are they formed? The answer may be obvious, but I'll get to that later. For now, I want to focus on mainly the signature oases that are scattered across the desert. At first, these flower buds seemingly look like regular flower buds, but in fact can turn into flourishing green areas thanks to ancient water. What is ancient water exactly? It is special water mixed with magical properties that last for a short period of time in your backpack. There is some sort of mystical or natural properties within the water that allows buds to flourish while normal water doesn't affect it. Before, the buds look alive despite the harsh environment, somehow gain nutrients from somewhere, as if like magic. After one splash of angel water causes the buds to instantly bloom as if given a growth serum. From this sudden growth, plants, slimes, and even a force field flourish around a small perimeter. Why a force field? Is there a chemical reaction with the flower bud and the angel water that causes this protection barrier to surround the area? Is this flower bud a creation from the civilization that once roamed this land, or naturally grown? Whatever the case may be, the force field is there to protect the player from tar and the violent eruption that appears every few minutes. Remember earlier I mentioned of how the crystal sculptures are formed? Coming back to that, the violent eruption that happens causes flames to erupt from the ground as well as damaging the player if you get too close. These flares of fires are a result of a strange phenomenon that happens and somehow forms the crystal structures. Not just that, out of the eruption are the new species of slimes known as the fire slimes. Unfortunately, these species of slime don't last very long due to lack of ash available to them. It still begs the question, where do the fire slimes come from? Are they from underground and took a ride, or formed during the eruption process? If the fire slimes are created from the flames, that means there is some properties within the fire that forms life. While water is the main source of life in every living creature, it might be possible that fire in the glass desert may be a key factor of life as well. Who really knows? Well, I think I should move on to the ruins of the area. Oh boy, where do I begin? While the ancient ruins are in collapse, you somewhat have a clear picture of what the area might have looked like. While on the other hand, the glass desert ruins are more scattered and in shambles, making it a little difficult on what parts to focus on first. I guess the best place to start are the fountains. To retrieve ancient water, you need to locate a fountain where at first seems empty. It's not after locating all the statues and giving its respective floors is when the fountain is spouting with water. These statues vary from tangled, rock, and mosaic. Why these statues specifically? Are they the key in creating ancient water? I would say yes. If you think about it, it makes sense. In the wiki, it states that the tangled plorts are used for agriculture purposes as fertilizer and growth formula. The rock slimes are for construction purposes, but certain rocks aid in purifying water. Lastly, while mosaic plorts are still being researched, the water likely gets its sparkly effect as well as forming a barrier that forms around the surrounding areas thanks to it. With all these plorts combined, it would make sense how the flower buds react so suddenly upon being splashed with ancient water. Now, I am wondering if the bud's main purpose is mainly for protection from the scorching sun, or was it more to it? Tars do take damage when inside the barrier. The barrier also protects a player from the violent eruption, so there's that. But I always get a feeling that the Oasis has a greater purpose than that. Another interesting structure is located up north in the glass desert, an open area next to a more prevalent and larger ring of arches. Even though these arches are in bad disrepair, it still holds itself high, showcasing its durability from the harsh elements. Leading to that is somewhat a well-preserved temple. This temple has 2 entrance doors connected with a switch. Doesn't matter which door you take, it leads to the same place. This temple has fascinating and unique features that we can piece together on what it was used for. In the middle of the temple is a brick-like gazebo having several crystal scones illuminating the small area, as well as another source light above it that looks very similar to the ancient ruins teleporter, doesn't it? Now, surrounding Opson's final message are beams of crystal tubes with a window view of the desert. What was the area of the temple used for exactly? Opson's message mentioned adventure beyond space and time. Was he planning to use this structure to travel? Was it another source of teleportation? There is evidence that the tubes are a part of constructing teleportation technology. However, if you look inside in some of the already shattered tubes are a solid mass of crystal or water, it is very hard to tell what it was inside. When before in the other teleporter, the tube was filled with a type of liquid. Was at one point these tubes filled with fire but turned into solid crystal, just like the crystals outside the temple? Was fire a different source of fuel for teleportation or something else entirely? The glass desert has to be the most mysterious area equal to the ancient ruins. I would say more stunning than its counterparts, beaming pyramids like landscape that pierce through the sky. Ruins scattered across the sandy shores of the glass desert. Unfortunately, the brushes of many sandstorms and eruptions caused many of the buildings to be engulfed by the sea of sand. Unfortunate as it is, I find it more incredible how sturdy these structures are. The hundreds and not thousands of years that the eruption went on and off, some of these structures seem intact, as if the structures are either made to handle these sort of random eruptions, or the ancient civilizations were simply masters of architecture. Either way, whatever the case may be, the question remains on what were these ruins made for? I believe the ruins were the capital of the lost civilization, a transport for importing precious material across the planet to create structures. That would explain how the ancient ruins got its glass shards doors. Unfortunately, it's hard to really know what happened. It will forever remain a mystery. Just like the ancient ruins, it will forever be lost in time. If you guys have your own thoughts, please share them down below. Better yet, come hang out in my Discord server. Thank you for watching and stay wiggly, everyone.